A very good evening to all of you. It's a pleasure for me to welcome Professor Sahasrabudhe and all of you. Let me first have the pleasure of briefly introducing him. Professor Sahasrabudhe is a professor of practice and design at IIT Gandhinagar. He has a cumulative experience of over 25 years in various fields, such as advertising, animation, filmmaking, and educational multimedia production. Prior to this, he was a director of the Educational Media Research Center, Pune from 20 to 22. He spearheaded the production of audiovisual production of MOOCs and also conducted capacity building programs for MOOC instructors to inculcate learner-centric approaches in their content creation for MOOCs. And we all know how important these online courses were during this pandemic period. He has contributed to the development of a learner-centric model and has created many MOOCs in IIT Bombay, X, edX, and SWAYAM. His course on 3D visualization and animation is subscribed by over 1 lakh learners worldwide and was shortlisted for the edX Prize 2019. Samir holds a PhD in subject communication, PG diplomas in distance education and animation filmmaking, and a graduation in fine arts. It's a real pleasure to have you with us today here. And Mr. Sahasrabudhe would be accompanied by Dr. Rohan Dasgupta. Rohan Dasgupta is currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at Kalsekar Technical Campus in Navi Mumbai. He's basically an engineer by design, but deeply interested in MOOCs. He completed his B in Civil Engineering in 2010, ME in Structural Engineering in 2015, and PhD in Civil Engineering from the University of Bombay, Mumbai in 2023. He's an experience of over 13 years, working in various engineering colleges affiliated to the University of Mumbai. Although his specialization is in structural engineering, his areas of interest are wide, ranging from geotechnical engineering and environmental engineering, with special focus on green buildings and other forms of sustainable development. Dr. Dasgupta is also passionate, as I mentioned, about massive open online courses, MOOCs, and apart from being the NPTEL single point of contact of his institute, he has been involved very closely with SWAYAM NPTEL. He has also been appreciated by IIT Bombay for his contributions for MOOC. So it's a pleasure to welcome you and have you with us this evening. So Professor Sahasrabudhe, can I request you to start off and then you can share it between the two of you as you all have decided. Thank you very much for making the time for us this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Saikia. I really would like to thank you because this looks pretty unusual sight that at 5 o'clock we have a full house here, and I'm sure we will have a interactive session based on what I have seen as the curriculum, like the schedule of the workshop so far. So it looks very promising and very interesting talks so far that have happened. So I look forward to interacting with all of you, and Rohan will actually take us through some more parts of it. So the format of the session is going to be centered around the topic of learner centricity. And this is not necessarily only in MOOCs or in online education, but also in what we call as on-site. So after pandemic, there were multiple words that emerged actually, and some new words were even born after that. And one of the word which was coined after pandemic was two words actually. So online and on-site. So, so whether we are teaching in classroom where students are in front of us, or where we are teaching online where people are connected virtually with us. So in both the conditions, how to get learner centricity working will be the topic of today's discussion. And the way we have planned is that I am going to share you some of the techniques about adding learner centric approaches to your content that you are going to create. And one of them is going to be creating learning dialogues, as it is called. And what Rohan is going to take you through is a technique, like a software technique, where, or its software part is pretty small there. Actually, it's just few clicks here and there, but mostly it is going to be a procedure where you can convert any video into a interactive video rather than a standalone longish video.
Yeah.
So I am going to mostly kind of be there for the first 1.5 hour part where we will have, and because the integration is kind of integrated in the session itself, so probably we'll make use of the most of the time that we have here. Okay, great. So with this background, I think let us just dive into it. And I have a question to ask all of you, and you can use your chat window to type in your answers. And the question is like, for a typical online course that you have seen, probably, what are the components? And so when we are talking about NEP is suggesting multiple things for all of us that we should try and get. And when we look at the online content sometimes, so this particular discussion has popped up from that point onward. So in order to get into the subject, let us just try and brainstorm. So what are the typical components of any online course? Like, can you just type it out using your chat box? So I'm sure there are people on the other side of the screens. So yeah, okay. So I get
Sir, sir, online courses component I like the internet and computer. This
okay.
type of
No, so yeah, we are not looking for such kind of answer about that, but yeah. So uh, what should an online course consist of? Okay, so somebody is writing well-designed syllabus and digital resource. Okay, so can you expand a little bit on digital resources? Of course, we will have a lot of digital resources. Provision for self-paced is written by Sunil, and self-learning modes. Okay. Uh, uh, Assessment. Okay, we will have assessment. We will have content. Okay, great. What is the content like? What is the format of content? Mm, we have multiple Pranati Rath telling us about content, reading material. Okay, somebody Shalini Agarwal says reading material, instructions online, evaluations. Okay, yes. What type of reading materials typically? So you can maybe uh, add to your answer now.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Uh, sir, reading material as in, I should have actually written course or program objective first, and then in tandem with the course or the program objective, a reading material or an outline of the reading material or way to access it. Ideally, if that can be given, then the online course becomes more towards self-directed learning, and the burden of the teacher becomes lesser because then the students come in with at least some kind of understanding of what is being taught. And so, given that we are all into adult education, so self-directed learning could be explored a lot in online teaching, sir.
Yes. So I agree. So some reading material based on the learning objectives. Okay, I am going slightly deeper than I agree with all the points that you have made. I am just asking that what are the artifacts? Okay, let us list out the artifacts. These are the domains that you are saying. Okay, assignments and evaluation. Okay, Shashwati Roy says assignments and evaluation. So what are the artifacts of reading material? Are these because if you are doing a physical course, for example, you are teaching in a college or university, and then you announce a course, then the library people may come back to you and say that, okay, do you need some books to be ordered for the course or something like that? And maybe you agree with that, and then you give a list of books. Similarly, if you are teaching online course, what is the reading material that you give out? What are that? What are the artifacts? Similarly, when you say contents, what is the artifact of that? Is it a paper? Is it a script of what you are going to speak? What is that?
So for the course objectives, generally, as you said, the artifact which can be given out is what should the student expect from this program or the course that the student is
Agreed.
attending,
Agreed.
and
But
and what?
okay, my question is slightly simpler than what you are answering. You are answering a slightly tougher question, which I have not asked. I am
Okay.
asking a simpler question. That when we, for example, any recipe that we see, maybe in a video, they talk about like what are the ingredients. Okay, what do you need to make
Okay.
this recipe? Similarly, to make a typical online course, what is that you need? What is the list of things that you should definitely have?
So a flow chart of the program
Okay, outline. So, okay, so maybe
outline, yes.
a date-wise or outline. Okay, on this date we'll release something. Okay, that is one
Yes.
thing. Anything else?
So like we create an academic calendar. So, what are the points of evaluation? Where will the evaluation be
Correct,
done?
correct,
How will it be done?
correct. PDF
And
copies of books. Okay, somebody's answering. Shashwati Roy is saying some PDF copies of books, some self-prepared materials. Okay, there could be videos. Okay, there could
yes, sir.
be
Instructional video.
screen capturers videos. Yeah, instructional video. There could be screen captured videos sometimes if you don't have the facility to record the face of the speaker. Maybe just a screen capture with audio is also fine. There could be podcasts. There could be slides. Nevertheless, you can just release your slides saying that, okay, this is the material, this is the content. Okay, and you can go through the slides maybe. Yes, and of course we have seen multiple other things like we have assessments and we have evaluation matrix and all that. So I think we are on track on that. So TK, I think we got multiple responses, although some of you still are uh, kind of trying to figure out what to answer to this question. But yeah, it is like I said, it's a simpler question than that you imagined. It's not a very hard question. It's a very simple question. So yes, this is what we'll have probably. We'll have lecture videos, we'll have activities, we'll have assessment, we'll have additional readings, we'll have a platform basically for discussion where people can talk to each other, like what we have a chat box here, so people can just post some chat messages. Okay, yes, exactly. So Sunil, John, and I were exactly on the same point at some time probably. Before maybe I just went to this thing, discussion forums. Yes, we need discussion forums because learning is a heavily peer activity, and that is where we are trying to figure out like what is it that can be brought into the system which will make this happen. Okay, so but here if I say, are you aware that what happens in a uh, so again when we are again talking about participating in online courses, especially under NEP or any other model, because we are encouraged to multiple ways of learning, and if you find a brilliant course by somebody on some platform and you want to take it up, uh, are you aware like what would be the funnel of participation from all these stages of uh, online thing? Can you tell me approximately from awareness level to registration level, what would be the percentage of people who would start off with they will be aware? Suppose 100 people are aware in India about certain course, how many will register for it? Can you tell me a number? Can you just post it a percentage number or something like that? Okay, I can also see that, yeah, you can make good use of uh, responding to the post by somebody else by maybe putting a thumbs up onto it if you like the answer. 70 to 80%. Okay, this is Aishwarya Sharma. Okay, so okay, so yeah, sure. Anybody else has a number? Will it be bigger or smaller than this? Let me just ask this question. So Whether it is yeah, depends on whether it is compulsory or not, of course. But imagine that it is not mandatory. Suppose we'll look at both the situations. It depends on the course. Yeah, that is also correct point. Yes, Pranati. So typically it is very low, by the way. It is less than 15%. So even if you have awareness about something, not many people would go for it because of the hindrances that they are aware about, like what happens in an online course is something that they don't like. So eventually they just, yeah, reputation of a speaker. Yes, that is also a point. But even after that, say even if you say that you have registered in the course, in an online course, um, it's very hard to complete that course. Whatever the timeline could be, it could be 6 months, it could be 1 year, it could be 1 month, or maybe few weeks. But still, it is it is not an easy thing. Like all of you are going through an online program as of now, but you can see that continuing your attention span and focusing on whatever is happening on screen is a challenge. Although this course is offered in a mode called as synchronous mode. So it is not like I have delivered a lecture and recorded it and uploaded it somewhere and you are watching it in your own leisure time. If that is the case, do you think the engagement will be higher or lower? If I give you the flexibility to watch it at your own time, will the engagement will be higher or lower? Higher. Okay. Archana says it would be higher. Can you explain why higher? More or less the same, I guess. Okay. Archana, if you can unmute and talk, or maybe Vikash, who have said higher. I want to know your perspective. Any one of you, Vikash or Archana? So do everyone else agree that, okay, it would be lower because only two people have said higher? Whether time is available, we can see. People will be able to access it when they have favorable surroundings to concentrate on the. Okay, Archana is giving explanation of that. Probably she's not able to switch on the microphone. Nevertheless, yes, this is a good point. So it is mainly about that favorable surroundings. Okay, so favorable surroundings are also connected to something, like surroundings are also connected to internal things, like I should be in a mood to study at that time, and then maybe I can perform better. So so there is a definite lag between uh, registration and activity on the course. So registration can happen for 100 people again, and let's see how many people will be active in your opinion. So you can give me another number now. So you have seen all the online courses in the past. So if 100 people register, now forget about awareness part. Out of the registered people who have willingly clicked on it, there is no forcing. I just like the course title. I like the introductory video and the trailer, whatever you can call it. I like the first paragraph written about it. I like the instructor, and I register for the course. What happens? How many people will be active in the course? Oh, 100 became 50 suddenly after after few seconds. Okay, about 100%. Archana Gadre says, okay, yeah, yeah, we are dangling between 150, 100. Anybody else has a view? Rohan, if you can read some of the things, maybe.
You want me to
Yes,
read
sir.
out the comments?
Yeah, in the sense, if there is something interesting that I am missing out.
Okay. So some Shalini is talking about if the motivation is either self or external, isn't strong completion rates remain poor.
Okay.
Hmm.
Sir,
Okay.
what I have seen of myself and in my colleagues, I belong to a dental college, sir. So we generally register mostly for the SWAYAM courses and the various courses which are there in our specialty.
Okay.
So it is by word of mouth. We tell each other and then the registrations happen. And particularly for the self-paced courses, sir, I've seen like there's a mass enrollment. But then when I find out from them, what is the completion rate? It is very poor, sir, because the
But what is the
motivation
definition
is,
of poor here? What is the definition of
um,
poor?
so sometimes the completion rate in some of the, so for example, there was an IPR program run by SWAYAM. So, sir, we had close to 60 plus staff members registering for that, but hardly 3 or 4 of us completed it. Even though it was a self-paced course and they had put out the reading material, they had,
So let's say 5%,
yes, sir.
10%, 5, okay.
So that
Okay.
is in my experience and opinion.
Okay,
Of course, it
okay,
could
great.
be completely different, sir.
Now we have 42 actually here, so I am worried about that percentage suddenly. But okay, so we have 42 people here, and so my question to all of you is as follows. So we agreed that uh, that self-pace and yeah, with favorable surroundings things can work or something like that, but the hard fact remains what Shalini just said. Online courses worldwide have a completion rate which is close to 8 to 10% maximum. Okay, so this funnel of participation was kind of explained in 2013, and whatever happens, whatever the condition be, the most of the culprits are the organization, of course, and bad presentation or instructional design. These are uh, these are the two main culprits that have been found out, and the entire online platforms, all the online platforms are going through this situation where whenever we create online course, the sufficient number of people don't actually complete it. It just goes out in vain. So yeah, so the problem happens there, and therefore, if I say that. Mm, what's the problem with this thing then? So if I say everything is correct, like I have good videos, I have good reading material, I have good quality discussion forum, I have a platform where you can type in and all that, even then it doesn't change the situation. It is because what can happen is the learners can passively watch videos, just sit there and play the video. Necessary activities are only completed. The ones which are like non-necessary activities, where there are no marks or something associated with it, people don't really bother to complete them and simply ignore additional resources. They are additional anyway. So yeah, why bother? And finally, discussion forum just lies there waiting for people to come and do something, but nobody comes to the forum, nobody types. Even if they type, they don't get a response. And finally, they lose interest in it. So, do you agree with this part? Like, will this be true, or is it true? Good network connection. Oh yes, okay, of course. Yeah, if apart from our all other things, yes. Yeah, good network connection, device dependency, accessibility, language issues. The list is quite long, but this is yeah, okay. Now I have new people also responding to it. I see somebody else. Shashwati Roy says yes, sir. Kamaksha Prasad. Okay, and Sunil says thumbs up. Okay. So what is the solution for this then? So if we have to really come up with this, the solution lies in changing the way we create the videos, that people are just watching without any activity. They are just passive. Then we have some formative assessment added to the activity rather than just keeping only necessary activities as summative activities at the end. And importantly, give constructive feedback to all of them, those who are participating. Finally, you have to also have two main components where just additional reading material won't help. Instead of that, if we advance their learning through suggesting them diverse paths of learning, like I will give an example in a short while. And finally, the discussion forum should also be rewarding. Like the peer interaction should be interesting. So like just now what you saw, if you can actually give a like to somebody else's messages, you immediately have a connection there. So everyone then is looking forward to, okay, what is the answer, and do I have some answer that I like about that somebody else has posted. So we will then just agree, instead of typing the same sentence again, I can just do that. So by shifting to this model, there is a high probability that the challenges can be overcome of all these things. The question is how to get those things into a real order. Like how do you get this concept attainment? How do you get formative assessment? How do you get advanced learning, diverse paths? How do you get peer learning? That's the question. And that's when we actually came up with something called as the learner-centric MOOC model. And this is what the model looks like. But before I just proceed, I just wanted people to pause for a second, and you can type +1 in case you are okay with whatever we have discussed so far, or if you are not, then you can unmute and speak. So anybody else has a comment to make at this point? By the way, has anybody has an experience of creating online content in the group that I am talking today, or anybody is planning to do it in near future? So they can also type in.
Anita Sude says, yes, I did it.
Okay.
Ashwanya is saying she's planning to do it.
Okay, fine. I wish to create. Okay, great.
Yeah.
There are people who want to create. Okay. So, so this is the time for a perfect advertising break. Okay. So,
Yes.
this is where, yeah, so I can simply go to Swayam, where, okay. So can you see my screen now?
Yeah, the Swayam page is visible.
Okay, great. Yes, so we just got hold of an interesting tip now. Okay, so so all those who are planning to come up with a course of themselves, I think what you should do is you should just go to swayam.gov.in and hit on search button here in the course catalog and search for a course called as Designing Learner-Centric MOOCs. Okay, I am actually going to just paste the link of this thing. So this is the preview page of the course, and I will try and post it on the chat so that nobody misses it. The reason I'm flashing it as an advertising break in between the whole thing is because today is the last day of registration, by the way. So 5th of Feb is the last day of registration. So all those who want to really join this can hit it right now. And what does it entail? So it has multiple things that have been written here, and some of them you can listen to it in today's session. And but just in case you want to learn the entire thing, you can go to the course. And more importantly, if you want to get a certification of that, the last date is I think, which is the 16th of February. Okay, so 10 days from now you have a time that you can register for an exam of this course, which is a SWAYAM exam. 45 people have already registered for it, and around 1200 people have registered for the course itself. So that was the advertising break. Let's come back to the main presentation. So we are talking about a model here. Now when I say model, it is not a theoretical model. This is a kind of prescription model where it actually tells you step by step what you should do in order to make it learner centric. And because we discussed about 4 important elements of any online course, whether it is MOOC or not, we still have videos, we have activities, we have reading material, and we have discussions. So what we are just suggesting here is that instead of creating videos, which can easily be converted to a monologue. The suggestion here, the model suggests that make it into a learning dialogue. And how do you do that? You put content and then you put a yellow slide that you saw just now in my presentation, for example, this one. Uh, yes, so think and answer. So this kind of a slide is called as a reflection spot. If you observe keenly, we have tried to give a different color scheme for this. We have tried to see, like even in a classroom, we try this technique. And if you have all these white colored background slides, and in a class suddenly you get a yellow background, even the students get a feedback that, okay, this is where they have to do some activity. So we have tried to give some design elements also to it. So this is called as a reflection spot, where there is a small activity involved, and because of that the learners can reflect upon what they have learned so far, and that becomes a learning dialogue instead of a learning monologue. We will study how you can convert a video into a learning dialogue instead of a learning monologue in this particular session of 3 hours, and we'll go ahead. But just for your reference, I will talk about other elements also in short. The first and the foremost is the activities. After learning dialogue, we talk about LBDs, which are the learning by doing activities. And these are important mainly because we need to supplement every learning dialogue with an activity in order to have better retention. And these learning activities could be very small. This could be MCQs, it could be having them to maybe recall level things. It doesn't matter actually. At that point, the important aspect is that they should be able to assimilate that information. And you should be providing customized constructive feedback for this. So with this combination, we can have great amount of engagement in first place. So this, just adding these two features in our online course, we can achieve almost 60 to 70% of engagement just by making videos into learning dialogues and having a learning by doing activity under every video. These two things itself are self-sufficient. But I will just narrate the other two things also. Let us see if we have we are going to focus on learning dialogues mostly, and learning by doing, we can just touch base. I will answer the questions about the other things uh, if there are questions from the audience. It could be a it could be an optional thing, like if you want to know more about it, we can take that. But I'll tell you very briefly about what happens to a learning extension trajectory. And so everyone said that reading material is part and parcel of any online course. But frankly, tell me, when all of us were learners, or all of you were learners, what percentage of additional reading that was given after every course, how much of that have you read actually? You can write again percentage, like all the papers or the book chapters that were mentioned, or some of them, or some percent of them. Okay, I get some messages. A lot of. Nani, you were, how much of that you used to read? Maybe 60%. Okay, great. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Shashwati Roy is being brutally honest about it. 10 to 20% to a certain extent. Okay, I will reverse the question. How much percentage of reading material that you announce in your classroom or is given at the end of your own course are read by students? Very poor. Okay. Number of students. Yeah, 2%. Okay. So, okay. Less than 20%. 0%. Okay. Okay. Okay, or percentage. Okay. No, you can say percentage. How many percent of content is read by the students? You can aggregate it. Sir, this is my experience in my class. What is that experience? Shashwati Roy says, 2%. Yes. Yeah. There's no problem on that. Yes. So what have you tried to analyze why people don't read this? Because we have taken so much of effort in curating those things. Like it will benefit them, this will be useful and all that. There are two reasons when you look at it. One of them is that अगर इसके ऊपर क्वेश्चन पेपर में कोई क्वेश्चन आने वाला है तो मैं पढ़ूंगा, नहीं तो देयर इज नो रीजन फॉर आई टू like exert myself into reading something more than what you are already talking in the class. That is one very serious thing. The second serious thing is that we are expecting everyone to just go through reading material. Okay, there is no alternative for that, and we cannot guarantee that every learner in your class would be a textual learner, people who can read and understand, right? So there could be people who would be visual learners. They would love to see a concept map and grasp. On the other hand, there will be some people who can only watch a video and then understand. Some people would be auditory learners. Some could be having psychomotor learning techniques that they have to do it in order to learn that. Are we catering to that diversity of learners by giving just a list of reading material that, okay, this is the paper, this is a reference book, and this is the book chapter and all that? So that is one reason that it doesn't meet the expectation uh, of what the instructor feels like, right? So do you agree with this, that if we change the mode of these additional materials and convert that to a optional bouquet of flowers, saying that, okay, if you want to access this content, I have given it into multiple formats for you. Will it work? I can say that it works because we have done a research on that. And that is exactly what this learning extension trajectory talk about. That is one particular point, is that whenever we offer some content, instead of a long list of all the materials related to the course that I'm teaching, suppose I'm teaching molecular biology, but instead of giving all the things, what I do is, in this particular thing, I make chunks of the resources. I say that, okay, if you want to look into the theoretical aspects of it, this is the list of things. If you want to look at applications of microbiology in the field of science or something, these are the papers and the videos that you can read about. If you just want to know the history of microbiology, here are the additional reading material, which can have even podcasts of famous scientists and other things, and you can go through this. So the moment I create these three areas or three chunked lists, we have seen that the learners love to pick up one of them rather than picking all of them jumbled up together. And then when they put that into they focus onto one of the trajectory, we have a small quiz at the end of it. Okay. And this assimilation quiz ensures that the participation is very high. And we have been doing that, and we have got some excellent results in this technique. So this is where it is called as identifying resources, chunking them according to the topic and according to the mediums, and releasing them for the learners is an important point. And finally, adding a small assimilation quiz at the end. It will see. You would be surprised to know that in my online course, when I put it up, instead of people like 2% and 10% people only reading it, because in fact the correct answer to it is that only 10% people of the class read the material, and they also don't read it 100%. They also read 50% of that material. That's kind of something that I have learned over a period of time. So in order to change this scenario of how people access the content, we tried this technique, and it has worked for us. So that is what I thought. So I think we have done three important parts: LED, which is a learning dialogue, which is converting a existing video content monologue to a learning dialogue by adding a small reflection spot. Learning by doing activities are activities which are accompanied to a learning dialogue, and they provide customized constructive feedback to the learner. And finally, learning extension trajectories that we saw are the curated chunked list of resources which are designed according to the topic as well as the learner's requirement. So if we have done 3 parts, if you are okay with whatever we have spoken so far, you can again type +2 this time, so that we have crossed the second point now, and I will know that how many people are there. And if you have a question on any of these 3 things, please unmute and speak. Okay, as in present days, students are not liking to read. Yes, this technique will work definitely. So Shashwati Roy looks positive about it. Anybody else has put up a +2 now. So, or you have to unmute and speak if you have any other counterpoint that you don't agree with.
Yeah, from Dr. Varak, he says that I feel content need to relate to the demographic background of the participants.
Obviously, very nice and very important point that has been mentioned. Contextualization of content, contextualization and localization, both are very important. And learning extension trajectories exactly help us in that, because we can say that, okay, here are the same resources of microbiology given in Hindi that I have curated from various resources now, and maybe you can go ahead and learn in case you are having trouble with my lectures in English. So that localization and contextualization works really well, and I will share some of the interesting kind experiences that I have encountered. I will leave the LXI, the learner experience interaction, for a while, and we'll just jump into the first part, which is creating a learning dialogue, because I think we have got like 4 or 5 +2s now by now.
Yeah, 5+2s.
Okay. So I'm hoping that other 37 or odd people are also either on the +2 side or on the +1 side at least, and so that they have come with us so far. But let me see based on their answer to this one. So what is the one feature that will make the learners look at the video that has been educational video that has been put up there? So can you write one feature that will make learner definitely watch it? Can each one can say one maybe? People who have not spoken yet, maybe they should unmute and speak.
Dr. Sinha is saying content.
Content, okay, of course, agreed. Yeah, it should have good content. Let's say anything else.
Surendra Pratap says content should be lucid and easy to understand. Parthapratim
Okay.
Datta says it should create interest. Ashwana Sharma says understanding and curiosity.
Create interest. Okay. Yeah. So these are slightly global sentences. So can you tell me in terms of slightly materialistic options? Okay. So should it have certain colors? Should it have a certain duration? Should it have music or shouldn't have music? What should be the instructor doing in front of the camera? Can you tell me some slightly nitty-gritty answers?
Sir, as far as this, I mean, natural sciences are concerned, so those kind of things are not required at all. Means I'm taking some examples from NPTEL lectures,
Okay.
like NPTEL lectures. For example, the lecture delivered by Professor Balakrishnan from IIT Madras.
Okay.
They got very famous as far as classical mechanics was concerned.
Okay.
So even means
So what
people
was
like
special about Dr. Balakrishnan's lecture?
it was like means those people who used to study physics, whatever he was talking about. So it was very clear. I mean, and that's why I have written lucid. I mean, and those people, if you will study like 10 books of that particular course, you will be able to understand what he is talking about.
Okay.
So that's why they got very famous as far as physics community is concerned. So yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. Anybody else has a comment? Video should be of 8 minutes. Okay. Lots of demonstrations. Okay. Around 8 to 12 minutes. Okay. People are Yeah, I think this is a good point.
No, it was
Talking.
me. It was me. I was just saying that Dr. Adhikari said it should be simple and to the point.
Okay, fine. Simple and to the point. It should be small. Yes, so all these are parameters, definitely. But if we, yeah, so these are the points. Like a lot of people have said this short duration, focus. So I could actually pause the video and edit the slide in the background and then type it. Okay, so a lot of people said this focus concepts and short duration videos and all that. Okay, so I think we all agree upon this. What we want to do is we have to bring the learners away from passively watching just the video. Just watching it and forgetting it is not going to happen. So unless we do something there, we are not going to get the results of engagement. So this is the technique. That is what we want to do. We want to transform your content into an interactive learning experience. It has to be from a monologue to a dialogue. Now, how do we get that? So we'll just start on this part now, and if anyone wants to just have a sip of water or something like that, you can go ahead and have that. I've just thought of reminding all of you, just be hydrated all the times because you'll have a long day now after this thing. Yeah, in between I'll read some messages. It should be very conceptual. Okay, it should be to understand the subject. Okay. Yes, so everything is correct actually. Mm, we are all talking about it like what we should be doing. Uh, Ideally, yes. But sometimes what happens is that in the process of saying that, okay, I want to explain this in detail and all that, I expand the talk. It becomes 15-minute, it becomes 25-minute talk. And finally, what concept I wanted to say is understood by some people in the class in the third or fourth minute. Some people get it at seventh or eighth minute. And there is like one or two people who will get it at maybe 20 minutes or so, and there will be few more people who may not get it at all, even if you talk for 25 minutes. But the problem happens that you have missed those people who got it in third or fourth minute. They are not gone now, they are gone, their engagement is gone. So how do you get that engagement for everybody at the same time? Okay, so let us look at that. Way of presentation is important. Yes, high quality content and strong hook. Wow, this is a nice word. Who is this? This is Ganesh Khandare. Okay. So this is a good point. Yeah. So we need a strong hook. What should that hook be? So that it should be riveted around it, and that people should not imagine of like dropping the lecture in between and just saying goodbye, I'm going or something like that. That should not happen, right? So how do we ensure that part is the challenge we are trying to solve. So I'll tell you technique today. This is that technique. What we should do is whenever we are creating content and the learners are accessing the content, introduce a reflection spot for people to type out or say it or uh, write it, whatever you want to do. It could be a very small reflection spot based on the content that you have delivered so far. The moment you put that, there is a kind of silence in the class where people are just trying to figure out what to do. If it is a video, the video gets paused on YouTube and the video is not going ahead unless until you answer it, or at least mentally prepare your answer. And once you do that, then the following content will have some summary about various options that people might have thought as answers. Okay, it is very vague right now, so I'll give you an example. Okay, so what's the example here? Yeah, I think so.
With several young and old accessing them, some being students and others being working professionals. These learners can come from various regional backgrounds with some well versed in English, while there can be others who are not proficient in English. One possible way in which teachers try to tackle this challenge is by providing a lot of resources or additional reading materials or application scenarios. But do you think that this is sufficient? Now you will see a screen having question. Once you have done answering, then resume the video.
Okay. So what you see here on screen is a reflection spot. Okay. And this spot actually on YouTube also, it has a pause screen and the video is also paused. Now, in your opinion, if certain YouTube video has a pause like this, do you really think people will pause the video on YouTube and then think of answer? Do you think that will happen? No, it won't, right?
Doctor, yeah, maybe 50%.
Yeah, some of them will
Rajkumar,
definitely.
Ravikumar.
Some very extra sincere people could do that probably. Yes. Right. But tell me one thing, that even if I don't pause, during the duration of the pause that you see the question on screen, don't you think you will start involuntarily answering this question? Right. So this is where exactly the learning monologue, like what that instructor was speaking for a long time, gets converted to a learning dialogue. Because now the speakers, like the learners are also speaking here from our side. Okay, how does that work? And then when the learner resumes or the speaker resumes, this is what happens.
Now that you have reflected on the question given, let me try to explain the answer. A problem with only providing additional resources is that many a times the learners do not access these resources. Or it can also happen that the additional resources sidetrack them from the main content. In the learner-centric MOOC model, the element of learning extension trajectories, that is LXT, is one way to aid a MOOC instructor in addressing the challenge of diversity. The learning extension trajectories is about providing learners with a wide variety of learning resources.
Okay, so as you saw, the instructor simply paused the point and then went ahead to discuss it separately, right? And that's how we get to the So that is the key here, that instead of just simply simply going monologue way, you pause after a certain amount of content where there is a conceptual location point, ask a question, and summarize most of the answers by in your summary video of which follows. Okay, so for any type of content, it could be a short video, it could be text writing, it could be animation, it doesn't matter. In any format, if you introduce this concept of a reflection spot, the content can convert into a learning dialogue. Okay, so that is what is the focal point here. And then we can see that reflection spots can be of various types. It can be a pause point, it can be a question, it can be a simple activity where people can reflect upon. So I remember one thing, that when I was talking about this, there was a teacher who came to me saying that, Samir, my lectures are pretty interactive actually. I said, okay, great. How do you do that? She said, no. I ask question after every concept is over. I said, great. What is that question? So he said, no, I just asked them, have you understood? And if they answer yes, I move ahead. I just realized that nobody will say no at all, because the classmates may just beat that person up afterwards, like, why did you say not understood? We got a whole repeat thing again. So this is the problem, that merely asking have you understood is not enough, but instead of that, if we ask a pertinent question which will reflect upon the content, we will come to know how much they know. Okay, so that should be the strategy here, and the learner has to be made in the learner should reflect upon the content that they have heard so far. They should be able to express their thinking. They should be able to micro practice about whatever they have seen so far. So it could be a algorithm which is being talked in computer science. So you can say that, okay, you can now, can you do it similar thing for something else, and just change one variable there and give them the task again and try to do that as a reflection spot activity. It could be any of the options. But finally, our objective should be one of these three things. And then we can see that we will be able to get the maximum engagement out of the learners. And we have seen that through various research papers that we have published so far. I'll just post the link of my website where you can have a look at the research papers that we have published about the same topic. And there are broadly, there are multiple choice questions, or there could be various types of reflection spots. Actually, we can have, because we are into online mode, we have entire platform supporting us. So we can have a question which can actually be dealt with in different ways. We can have fill in the blanks, we can have short answer, we can have drag and drop. And that brings to the tools part of it. So there are multiple tools which are helpful in this scenario, and therefore we want to take you through something like that. So we will be starting about that section very shortly. But before that, I want to explain the last part of it, which is the content part, which is after the reflection spot. This has to have a summary. So let me tell you, let me show you the slide where I was writing. I did a reflection spot here. Okay, so I asked this question, and what do you think is one feature of educational videos? And each one of you said something in the chat box. When you see my next slide, you will see that I have anticipated your answers and I have written them already here. Or if not, I have just paused my screen sharing. I have gone to my presentation again. I have copied some of the answers from there and then typed it here. The reason of this step is because whenever the learners come back after the reflection spot, which is this pause button wala screen, each one of them, believe me, each one of them is eager to know whether my answer will be considered by the teacher. Now you might say that in a MOOC at maybe at 10:30 in the night, some learner is watching in their own homes at Jharsuguda. Then how come they will also come to, how will I come to know? So that's the whole beauty of script writing. You can actually imagine all the possible answers. It could be bizarre answers, it could be correct answers, it could be incorrect answers. The key here is to have a question which will have multiple correct answers, not just a yes or no question. Instead, have a question which have multiple correct answers, and try to list out as many answers as you can in the next slide like this, and put a dot 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 here, which says that, okay, there are few more things that I have not discussed. That will tell us every student who has been listening to your lecture video at 10:30 in the night in their comfort of their own homes will also feel that, okay, something that I was talking about has come up in this video, and that starts the engagement. So the point here is that when should we have the LED now? If that is the case, where in the LED, when should we have the reflection spot now? So is there any concrete suggestion about that? Because that would be our last reflection spot, because before I go to the question answers. Can you suggest? Now I've explained you what is a reflection spot. I've explained you what content should follow after reflection spot. I am making a video of 15 minutes, let's say 10 minutes about certain topic. Now tell me, where should I add my reflection spot? What is the location that there should be a reflection spot? Yeah, 8 to 10 minutes after the video of the video, or if the video is a 15-minute video. Okay, so you are saying approximately around half time. Okay, anybody? Yeah, anybody wants to have it at that time, before that time, or after that time? You can respond to the same thread, by the way. You can reply to that thread. After introduction of the topic and after little discussion, reflection spot may be given. Oh, very good, Shashwati Roy. I think, yeah, I will take the first half of it after introduction of the topic. Okay.
Okay. Am I audible?
Who is this?
Archana.
Achana, go ahead.
I think the reflection
Can you
spot,
be slightly louder?
Yeah.
You can hold the mic nearer.
the reflection spot can also be added at a point where you want to introduce a new concept, but you are expecting the learners to have some background of that concept, some basic ideas. Like if you are teaching for a TYBSc student, you expect that the studies in SYBSc are there in his mind. So you can add a reflection spot there so that the learner can connect with the basic knowledge that he has to the new concept or the higher or in deep concept that will be coming after this.
Yeah. So, uh, so if I extrapolate your answer and if I say that, okay, can I use this at the opening of the talk, saying that what did we learn in the last class? Is this a good reflection spot? Archana?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else has a reaction to this question, this answer? So can reflection spot be used in the beginning of the class, asking what did you learn in the last class? Is it a good reflection spot?
I think it's not a good
Okay, why?
because everybody in a new lecture, everybody wants to learn what is the new instead of what we have learned in the previous one. That's
I
why
agree. But then as a teacher, I want to know whether they at least remember what was done in the last class. Otherwise, they will just take the new thing without understanding. And especially if the topic is dependent on what happened in the last class, then I will be required to ask this question. Isn't it?
okay.
Okay, anybody else has a viewpoint? Yeah, this is a good point. I'm going to talk about it slightly. Yeah, so I ask in every class, every class is related with the previous class, of course, yes. So better to link to the previous class, yes. So let us see that, let us say that, okay, that is a good thing. Yeah, Doctor. I think he got unmuted by mistake. Okay, I'll mute him. Okay, so yeah, one more message has come in between. I think we should ask students otherwise because we can relate that lecture with the previous one. Okay, Surendra Pratap says yes. So the point here is that yes, this is a good reflection spot. So so there are two criteria of reflection spot. First criteria is that you do it for content. If you want to recap content, if you want them to rehearse the content, if you want them to micro practice the content, you can do a reflection spot which is based on content. The other reflection spot is the first answer that we got, that 8 to 10 minutes into the video, we should have a reflection spot for a 15-minute video. So that is essentially a timeline based reflection spot. Target a reflection spot position where you think that the learners will be disengaged after a point. That is a kind of thing that, okay, I know that after people sit into it. So when is the time I said to everybody that, okay, have a sip of water? When did I say that? I said that around 35 to 40 minutes into the lecture, because I know that that is the attention span, then that many people can get disengaged. Did you actually have a sip of water at that time? Just as an honest answer, right? And was it useful to come back to the engagement part? So these are the things that I should remember. There are two things that I can use reflection spot for. One is to get the learners to reflect upon their learning or the concept that I have already explained. Maybe in this class or previous class, doesn't matter. But if I have to use it as my tool to tackle engagement, then I can also use it in the middle of the class where the engagement might drop in. So these are the two ways in which I use a reflection spot. So that these are the two places where it is ideal. Okay. So this was something that I thought I will share with you. And therefore, we have to, and the last part is we have to summarize all possible answers in order to engage all the learners. This is very crucial, because if I miss out some answers, if I say correct answer to this is this, and then I go ahead, then many people who have thought of some other answers will feel bad about it, right? So don't allow that to do that, right? So therefore, the option is this: close the loop by summarizing all the possible answers in the room. That is one good thing. And then we can go for technology part. So now we can see that there are tools available online which can make this reflection spot idea for you free of cost. So the idea here is that you can take any existing video from YouTube and convert that to an interactive video by using this tool called as H5P. So now is the time that we will have like 10-minute break probably before Rohan goes online. But
Sure.
in this break, I want each one of you to start thinking about the one video that you will convert to an interactive video. So I would request Rohan to start off with an example of a video which has this pause point, and we will then continue with the discussion around 6:30. Maybe we have 10 more minutes, and I would be here to answer any questions about whatever we have covered so far. But let me repeat the assignment or the activity in between the break, that you have to find out one video which you want to convert to a reflection spot based learning dialogue using H5P. So I am open to questions right now.
And sir, do you want me to post the link of the YouTube video of that communication laws that we had decided, where they can identify a reflection spot?
Yeah, maybe in the beginning of your session, maybe.
Okay, okay, okay.
Or you want them to go through it before they join there. But ideally, it would be nice if they can just search for a video on the.
Yeah, that would be better. If they can,
Yeah,
from their own
YouTube.
domain, if they can,
Yeah.
that would be best.
Yes, everyone should look at for one video from your. So Rohan, can you just type the question? Maybe they are asking for a question now.
Sure. I'll
So,
type it in the chat box.
yeah, so I will put a audio note of it. I am saying search for one video from your domain which you want to convert to interactive video and see a demonstration of a learning dialogue, conversion of learning monologue to learning dialogue. We are going to look at that and see how it can be done.